प्रभु रे सेविला श्रीनिवास गोष्ठी संगे देखे प्रभु रा महाप्रकाश. So Srivas Thakur was so blessed, and Srivasa also served the Lord without any duplicity. For this reason, he and his family could see the Lord's Mahaprakash or divine manifestation. So even the Mahaprakash Leela, which we went through in the previous chapter, that also happened at Srivas Thakur's house. श्रीनिवास घरे नित्यानंदेरा वसती बाप बाली श्रीवासेरा कराये प्रीति. अहर्निशा बाल्या भावे भया नाही जाने नीरावादी माली नेरा करे स्तन पाने. कबू नाही दुग्धा परशिले मात्र हया ऐसा अचिंत्य शक्ति मालिनी दिखाया. Srivas Thakur's wife is Malini, and we'll see the pastimes of Nityananda Prabhu in their family now. Nityananda continued to reside at the house of Srivasa and lovingly addressed him as father. So Nityananda Prabhu came in the mood of a small baby, and he used to address Srivasa as his father and Malini, the wife of Srivas Thakur, as his mother. He was absorbed day and night in the mood of a child and was not aware of the external events. And he continuously drank milk from Malini's breast. Although there was no milk in her breast, by the touch of Nityananda, they were filled with milk. Such was the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Lord Nityananda considered himself as a cowherd boy of Braja and Srivasa and Malini as his father and mother. Considering Malini as an elderly gopi and himself as a cowherd boy, Nityananda enacted the pastime of drinking Malini's breast milk. Although there was no milk in the breast of Malini, when she saw that her breasts were filled with an abundance of milk for the pastimes of Nityananda, she became struck with wonder. So again, this is a Leela wherein Lord Nityananda comes in the mood of a baby boy and treats Srivasa and Malini as his parents, and how Malini and he treats Malini as an elderly gopi, and then he is able to drink milk from her. Verse 10. चैतन्येरा निवारणे करे नाही कहे नीरावादी बाल्य भावा मालिनी दिखाए. Being forbidden by Lord Chaitanya, Malini did not tell anyone about this. She constantly saw the childhood pastimes of Nityananda. Malini Devi, she is the wife of Srivas Thakur, always treated Nityananda Prabhu as her own son. These extraordinary pastimes were not disclosed to anyone by the order of Mahaprabhu. प्रभु विश्वंभर बले सुना नित्यानंद कहारो सहिता पाछे करा तुम्ही द्वंद. चंचल तन करीबा श्रीवासेर घरे सुनिया श्री नित्यानंद श्री कृष्ण सनारे. आमारा चंचल्य तुम्ही कबू न पाईबा आपनारा माता तुम्ही करे न वशीबा. विश्वंभर बले आम्ही तोमा भाला जानी नित्यानंद बले दोसा कहा देखी सुनी. So Vishwambara said, listen Nityananda, you always pick a quarrel with someone or the other. Do not play mischief at the house of Srivasa. Hearing these words, Nityananda remembered Lord Krishna and replied, you will never be seeing me playing any mischief, and do not consider me like yourself. Vishwambara then said, I know you very well, Nityananda replied. Tell me what faults you find in me. Gaurachandra smiled and said, do you want to know your faults? You throw showers of footsteps in every room. So then here again childhood pastimes, and Gaurachandra is chastising Lord Nityananda and telling him not to do any mischief, because he is throwing footsteps in every other place. If footsteps are given by Sachimata, he would throw the footsteps in the courtyard and everywhere. 16th verse 16. नित्यानंद बले इहा पागले से करे एचा लाया घरे बाता नादी बे हमारे. Only a madman acts like that, Nityananda is saying. This is your trick to deprive me from eating rice. Nityananda is saying that you are telling me not to do this because you don't want me to eat rice. আমারে না দিয়া বাতা সুখে তুমি খাও আপা কীর্তি আরাকে না বালিয়া বেদাও. You do not feed me rice while you yourself are eating happily. Why else you telling everyone about my misdeeds? Being inspired by Sri Baladeva's statement to Krishna in the pastimes of Braja, Nityananda lovingly quarreled with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as follows. While you stayed in Nanda Maharaj's house, you, Krishna, always demand footsteps from Yashoda and enjoy them. Whereas if I try to take such footsteps, you criticize me and disclose the topics of my mischief to everyone. This is nothing but selfishness. The Lord regularly ate at at the house of Mother Sachi, not receiving his share there and being absorbed in the mood of Raja. Nityananda spoke like this while conversing with Gaurasudra. So Nityananda Mahaprabhu brings the pastime of Raja where he was Balaram and Gaurasundara was Krishna, and how they used to eat at Yashodamai's house, and he would not get much food because Krishna was eating them. So here the same pastime he brings about, and he says that you are eating all the rice and you are not giving me any rice. प्रभु बाले तोमारा अपकीर्त्या लाजा पाई से करने आमी तोमारा शिकाई. Lord is saying here, I feel embarrassed by your misdeeds. For this reason, I am instructing you. हसी बले नित्यानंदा बड़ा भला भला चंचल्या देखिले शिकाय बा सर्व काला. Nityananda smiled and said, that is very good. Whenever you see me restless, please chastise me. निश्चया भुजिला तुम्ही आम्ही से चंचला एता बली प्रभु चाही हासे खाला खाला. You must have understood that I am indeed restless. After speaking in this way, he looked at the Lord and loudly laughed. आनंदे न जाने भैया कौन कर्मा करे दिगंबर हाय वस्त्र बांधिले न सीरे. Out of ecstasy, Lord Nityananda lost his external consciousness and forgot what he was doing. He then removed his cloth and tied it on his head, and he jumped and he laughed about and he staggered like a drunkard around the courtyard. We see that this being inspired by his transcendental Braja pastimes, Nityananda is in the mood of a boy, young boy here, small child here. He removed his clothes and he tied it on his head like a turban, and he was doing activities as a child would do. Although Nityananda Prabhu, for the external world, was at the time he was an adult, but his imitation of childish activities completely bewildered the minds of people who are dependent on sensual perception. His hopping about and frivolous sporting in various ways are beyond the concentration of materialists. So we people with imperfect senses cannot understand the mood in which Nityananda Prabhu or Balram himself was doing these pastimes in the courtyard, whereas Nityananda Prabhu, who is Sankarshan himself, Balaram himself, was completely in the mood of a child. Seeing Nityananda without any clothes, Gadadhar, Srinivas, and Haridas understood that these pastimes were to teach some lesson. Vishwambara then called out, "What are you doing? It is not proper to act like this in a householder's house." Mahaprabhu the is the covered fountainhead of all incarnations, and he never agreed to display his conjugal pastimes of Krishna. That is why he loudly protested such mischievous activities of Nityananda and said that it is extremely objectionable for an adult to wander about like a boy without any clothes on. एखानी बालीला तुम्ही आम्ही की पागला ऐशाने निज वाक्या कुचिला सकला. A little while ago you asked, am I a madman? But now you are contradicting your own words. Oh Nityananda, you just said you are not a madman, and now you again fail to maintain your truthfulness by acting in a contrary way by removing your clothes. So the pastime continues, and the chastisement of Gaurang Mahaprabhu to Nityananda about his childish or childlike actions is being where Mahaprabhu is coming down on Nityananda Prabhu. यारा बाह्या नाही तारा वचने की लाजा नित्यानंदा भाषाए आनंद सिंधु माजा. Can anyone's word embarrass a person who has lost his external consciousness? Nityananda Prabhu was floating in an ocean of ecstasy. So when a person is floating in an ocean of ecstasy, whatever the external people tell him, nothing is going in his mind. So that is what was happening to Nityananda Prabhu, and he remained completely aloof from all the good and bad of the external world. Apane dhariya Prabhu paraya vasana emata achintya Nityanandera kathana. The Lord then personally caught hold of Nityananda and dressed him. Such are the inconceivable pastimes of Nityananda. Chaitanyera vachana ankusha matra mane Nityananda mata simha ar nahi jane. Nityananda was like a maddened lion and could not be controlled by anything other than Lord Chaitanya's words, and which were like a sharp iron hook. Apani tuliya hate bhata nahi khaya, putra praya kariyana malini yogaya. And he would not eat rice with his own hands, and Malini, the mother and wife of Srivas Thakur, she would act as his mother. She is a mother because in this case he treated her as elderly gopi, and she would feed him as his own son. Chase Malini knew the glories of Nityananda, and thus she served Nityananda as an affectionate mother would serve her son. So this is again all the pastimes where Nityananda Prabhu is like a child acting in the courtyard of Srivas Thakur. He used to reside in Srivas Thakur's house. One day a crow took a brass bowl and flew away into the forest. Soon the crow flew out of sight, and a great anxiety filled in the heart of Malini. Leaving the bowl somewhere, the crow returned, and Malini saw that the bowl was not in the beak of the crow. Srivas Pandita would become extremely angry because the bowl that was used for offering ghee to Krishna had been stolen. Thinking that he would create havoc as soon as he heard it, Malini did not say anything, but she kept on crying. Malini was fearful that Srivas Thakur would say something because that bowl was used for offering ghee to Krishna. At that time, Nityananda came there and found Malini crying very profusely. Nityananda smiled and said, "Why are you crying? Tell me the problem. What is the reason for your distress? And I will try to take care of everything." Malini replied, "Listen, Gosani, a crow stole a ghee bowl and left it somewhere." Nityananda said, "Dear mother, do not worry. I will give you the bowl. Please stop crying." The Lord smiled and said to the crow, "O crow, return the bowl at once." Lord Nityananda resides in the heart of everyone. Therefore, who has the power to transgress his order? So, how do we understand this? Lord Nityananda. So, the first expansion from Krishna is Sankarshan, who is none other than Lord Nityananda. And from the Chaturya form, then we have the Shirodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Karnodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Shirodakshaya Vishnu. And that is how here it is said that the Supreme Lord, as Shirodakshaya Vishnu, is residing in everyone's heart as Paramatma. Being ordered by the Lord, the crow immediately flew away as Malini, who was overwhelmed with lamentation. She kept on looking on at the scene. Within a short time, the crow flew out of sight and then returned there with a bowl in its beak. The crow set the bowl down in front of Malini, who knew perfectly well that it was influenced because of Nityananda Prabhu. So the bowl was returned as Nityananda Prabhu ordered the crow to return the bowl back, and it was again returned in front of Malini. Seeing this wonderful Leela, Malini lost consciousness out of ecstasy. Then she stood up and she started praying to Nityananda Prabhu. For he who brought back the dead son of his spiritual master, who maintains all the universes, and who can bring a soul back from abode of Yamaraja, it is not at all glorious to bring, it is not at all glorious to bring a bowl back from a crow. So, In Sandimuni's ashram, we all know that when Lord Balaram and Krishna went there to study in Avanti, in Ujjain, in Avantipura, for studying the scriptures, and they learnt 64 arts in 64 days. And when they finished those studies as a Guru Dakshina, they wanted to give some Guru Dakshina to Sandipani Muni. And what the Muni requested, Sandipani Muni then requested that, can you please bring back my dead son? At that point of time, Sandipani Muni had lost his dead son, and from the great ocean at Prabhasa Tirtha. So then both Krishna and Balram went on their chariot, went to Prabhasa Tirtha near Dwaraka, and then they demanded the son of their spiritual master from the ocean. The deity of the ocean demanded them that, informed them that the son of the spiritual master had been killed by a demon named Panchajanya. On hearing this, Krishna and Balaram entered the water, went to the palace of Panchajanya and killed him. But then they did not find the spiritual master's son within the belly of the demon, so they went to the abode of Yamaraja. Yamaraja duly worshipped Krishna and Balaram, and according to their order, brought the dead son back to spiritual masters. So here it is being said by the author that the personality who can bring back the dead son of their spiritual guru Sandipini Muni. So there is not a much big deal to get back the bowl which the crow took away. For he who holds innumerable universes on his head and yet does not feel their weight, and for he whose holy name destroys one's nescience that has no beginning, what is the wonder that he brings back a bowl from a crow? So the Lord's glories are being discussed here. So Nityananda Prabhu, as Ananta Shesha, is holding innumerable universes, and he doesn't even feel the weight of those universes. So herein our scientists cannot even measure the length and breadth of one universe, but here the Lord is holding innumerable universes on his head as Ananta Shesha, which are like mustard seeds on his head, and he does not feel the weight of it. And the holy names of the Lord are capable of removing the nescience. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam. So in this material world of Davagni, the holy name is the only one which can help us connect to the Supreme Lord. Nothing else in the material world can bring the jiva out of the material pralay, which we are all going through, the waves of material bhava sagar or bhava sagar. The holy name acts as a bhava aushadhi. So for a Lord whose holy names are so great, and he has bestowed the potency of the Lord is bestowed. The name of the holy name, the name of the holy name, and the nami, whose name it is, they are non-different. So when you call Krishna, Krishna certainly and absolutely comes close to you and listens to you. ये तुम्ही लक्ष्मण रूपे पूर्वे वनवासे निरंतर रक्षक अचीला सीता पासे. When while living in the exile in the forest as Lakshmana, so Nityananda Prabhu again is Lakshmana in the Lord Rama's pastime. You constantly remained by the side of Sita as her protector. So Lord Lakshmana went along with Lord Rama to the Vanvas when, as part of the vow, he had to leave the forest when Kaikeyi said that you have to go for 14 years Vanvas. So Lakshmana immediately said that I am a servitor. I will constantly stay with you to protect you and Sita Mai. तथापि हा मात्रा तुम्ही सीता राचरण इहा बाई सीता नाही देखिले के माना. Yet you never saw Sita except for her lotus feet. So Lakshmana's eyes would never go beyond the lotus feet of Sita Devi, and he will always look down at her lotus feet only. तोमारा से बाने रावणेरा वंश नाश से तुम्ही ए बातियाना केमाना प्रकाश. For you who destroyed the entire family of Ravana by your arrows, What is the glory in bringing a small bowl back from a crow? So you have destroyed the entire Ravana's clan in that war in Lanka. So this bringing a bowl is a very small thing. Yahare charana purve kalindi diyasi yastavana karila mahaprabhava janiya. After realizing your power and glories, Yamuna Devi previously offered prayers at your lotus feet. While residing in Dwarka, Lord Baldeva once came to Vraja to meet his well-wishers. He stayed there for 2 months of Chaitra and Vaishaka. At that time, Baladeva drank the Varuni sent by Varuna, the predominating deity of water, and enjoyed pastimes with the gopi. So that is called Balaram Ras Yatra. It comes in the month of April. There's another Purnima appearing in April, and that day is called Balaram Ras Yatra. Ras Leela or Ras Yatra, where he also performed pastimes with the gopis. Thereafter, with a desire to sport in the waters of Yamuna, Sri Balaram ordered Yamuna to come before him. Considering Baldeva intoxicated, however, she neglected his order. So Yamuna Devi didn't listen the order when Balram asked Yamuna to come in front of him. Then Lord Balrama, the son of Rohini, became angry and he began to pull Yamuna with the tip of his plow. So Balaram is Haladara and he had this hala in his hand. And with the tip of his plow, he started pulling the Yamuna river towards him. At that time, Yamuna became extremely afraid. And so after falling at the feet of Baldeva, she begged for his pardon by offering various prayers. So that is given in detail in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, chapter 65. चतुर्दशा भुवन पालन शक्ति 11 काकास्थाने बतीयाने ही महत्व तांड्रा. For he who possesses the power to maintain the 14 worlds, what is the glory in bringing a bowl back from a crow? So the Lord is maintaining the Chauda Bhuvana, and 14 worlds, and then bringing the simple bowl is not at all a big feat. तथापि तुम्हारा कार्य अल्प नहीं हाया कर से सत्याचारी वेदे काया. Still your activities are not insignificant. Whatever you do is eternal and confirmed by the Vedas. हासे नित्यानंद ताना सुनी अस्तवाना बाल्य भावे भले मुनि करी भा भोजनम. After hearing all these prayers from Malini, Nityananda Prabhu smiled in the mood of a child and he says, I will now eat. Nityananda dekile tahar sthana jhare bhalya bhave Nityananda sthana pana kare. In his childhood mood, Nityananda Prabhu would drink breast milk from Malini Devi. ए माता चिंत्या नित्यानंदेरा चरिता आमी की बली भाषा बा जगते विदित. Such are the inconceivable characteristics of Nityananda. What more can I say? They are already known throughout the world. कराये दुर्जने या कर्मा अलौकिक ये न ये जनाये तत्व से मानाये स्थाय न. His activities are extraordinary and incomprehensible. Anyone who actually knows him accepts his pastimes as true. Absorbed in transcendental ecstasy, the most effulgent Nityananda Prabhu wandered day and night throughout Madhya in this way. So we'll stop here. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to all.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for the wonderful session. Hari Bol, Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah, any questions or comments, please?
Mataji, verse number
60. Stopped at 60.
Thank you.
So we'll end the class here. All of you have a nice Kartik Mas, Damodar month, and you can do your nice devotional service to the Supreme Lord and Deepdan in morning and evening. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.